الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهديه واقتدى بسنته إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Respected students, we begin by praising Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, our Creator, our Sustainer, our Cherisher, our Provider. We send countless blessings, salutations upon our leader and Master Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his honorable companions, his household, and those who follow him. There is no stage in the life of a human being, and in particular in the life of a believer, that a person could become complacent in their progress and their achievement. In essence, the effort to better ourselves, to improve ourselves, is unending. It's a lifelong effort. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. That continue worshipping Allah until death overtakes you. And really, when a person has that desire of becoming a better human being, then they would learn from all circumstances, whether positive, whether negative, each and everything would leave you impressed. You know, like in English they say that a positive thinker finds an opportunity in every difficulty, and a negative thinker finds a difficulty in every opportunity. Let me repeat that. A positive thinker finds an opportunity in every difficulty, and a negative thinker finds a difficulty in every opportunity. Sayyidina Luqman alayhi salam, amongst the multitudes of advisors that he had disseminated and he had given to his son, Allah Ta'ala had selected a few and had given it a place in Quran Kareem in the 21st juz of Quran. What did he tell his son? Ya bunayya aqimis salah wa'mur bil ma'roof wanha 'anil munkar wasbir 'ala ma asabak inna dhalika min 'azmi al-umur. That, oh my son, establish salah, invite towards good, forbid from evil. Whatever difficulty comes your way, to persevere, to endure. وَلَا تُسَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ. And don't be hostile and unpleasant towards people. Somebody asked Luqman alayhi salam that you are so wise. You know, whether he was a Nabi of Allah or not, that's a separate discussion. Some scholars say he was, but majority say he wasn't a Nabi of Allah. So somebody asked him that, Luqman, you're so wise, you're so famous, you're so intelligent. Where did you learn that from? What did he say? I learnt it from those who lacked it. Where did you learn it from? I learnt it from those who lacked it. People said, elaborate, what are you speaking about? He says, when I had seen someone doing something wrong, I said, that looks wicked, that looks despicable, so that is what I should avoid. If it looks evil to me when he does it, I guess it will look evil to others when I do it. So he says like that, I continued in life, looking at the faults of others, not to become judgmental, not to run others down, but to take lessons from the lives of people. To take lessons from the lives of people. You know, Ali bin Abi Talib used to say, the famous couplets of his, what did he say? وَلَيْسَ الْجَمَالُ الَّتِي. He says that beauty, this is not something that adds value to a person's life. إِنَّ الْجَمَالَ جَمَالُ الْأَقْلِ وَالْأَدَبِ. It is morals, it is values, it is nurturing, it is tutoring. وَلَيْسَ الْيَتِيمُ الَّتِي قَدْ مَاتَ وَالِدُهُ إِنَّ الْيَتِيمَ يَتِيمُ الْعِلْمِ وَالْأَدَبِ. He says the orphan is not only the child whose biological parent has died before he has reached the age of puberty, but he says the orphan is also the child who sees the presence of both his parents, but the child is devoid of mannerism and conduct. And this is something which is so important. You know, throughout my travels, I've traveled to many institutions across the globe, and I find that one of the pitfalls and the downfalls in the Ummah is that we do not afford and accord respect to those individuals, those teachers and asatiza that are disseminating the knowledge of Deen to us. You know, that whilst a student is in a Darul Uloom, in an institution, we keep ta'alluq with our asatiza, with our teachers, but no sooner does that student graduate and he leaves the Darul Uloom, that is the end of the story. That is the end of the story. I always say this, you know, that there are two individuals in life that kick the du'as and it will take you a long way. When I was studying, we are students, we continue studying. It's a journey that has no end. So I was studying, I think I was in Rabia, and we were doing Hidayah, and I decided to quit my studies for whatever reason or the other. And I remember at that time, I always say the du'as of your parents will take you a long way. The du'as of your asatiza will take you a long way. Shaykh Abdul Rahman is one of the Imams of the Haram. I was reading his biography some time ago, and it is said about him that, when he was a young child, he was very, very playful. So his mother used to always make dua. She used to always make dua for him. That, oh Allah, this is my son, make him the Imam of the Haram. I mean, one of the greatest mufassirs that existed was Mufassir Zamakhshari. Tafsir Zamakhshari, you speak to the ulama, one of the most difficult tafasir to access and to unpack and understand. And Mufassir Jurjani, these were great mufassirin, and they both were crippled. If we study the history, the Mufassir Jurjani, when he was a young boy, he had a bad habit that is to catch birds, and is to take a piece of string and a twine and tie it to the legs of the birds and break the legs off. So his mother used to always caution him that, why are you doing that? So one day she was upset, and she made dua to the Almighty Allah. She said, oh may Allah, the son of mine is breaking the legs of the birds. You break his legs like how he breaks the legs of the innocent birds. The curse of the mother, within a short space of time, he had become crippled. She then made dua to the Almighty Allah. Oh Allah, I curse my son, he is suffering. Oh Allah, I now make dua for my son, you accept him for this deen of Allah. And like the Arabic poet says it so beautifully, that ma fahim al-Quran illa al-a'rajan, al-awwal min al-zabakhshar, al-thani min al-jurjan. There are only two people have understood the Quran al-Karim, the true meaning of Quran, the essence of Quran. One is Mufassir al-Jurjani, and one is Tafsir al-Zamakhshari. I mean, you speak to the scholars and the ulama, it enjoys the rank of being one of the most authentic tafasir in the entire world. So what I'm saying, on the dua of the mother, he had become one of the great mufassir. On the curse of the mother, he had become crippled. I see there are many youngsters here in the prime of your youth. Is that how often do we ask our parents to make dua? How often do we ask our parents to make dua for us? And really, this is something that we need to seriously consider. How often do we ask our asatiza, to make dua? It is the duas of your parents, it is the duas of your asatiza that will take you a long way in life. Now, friends and elders, respected students, when you're in a Darul Uloom, we tend to become very complacent. But remember the challenges that are out there. You'll be faced with different challenges. And understand, people have a different mindset. People have different ideologies. You'll be bombarded, with a host of different questions. And I always say this, we need to understand that the entire world does not subscribe to one ideological, background. Everyone is not a Hanafi. Everyone is not a Shafi. Everyone is not a Hanbali. Like back home in South Africa, you find that there are so many different sects. I'm not too sure whether it happens. You get there some people, they call themselves Quraniyun. They say you only believe in the Quran. You don't need the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the other people, we call them Shanafis. They take from here, take from there. When it suits them, take from this mazhab, and they take from that mazhab. And wallahi, there is a dedicated agenda to drive people away from the madahib. And these are challenges that I noticed a lot of young ulama that are facing, when they are, faced with certain issues, certain questions that are posed to them. We do not know how to respond to those questions. So this is something very, very important, is that one is, to acquire the sciences of deen. But how do we disseminate? To acquire the knowledge of deen, but to take this knowledge and to disseminate it, to every corner of the globe. Wallahi, the world is thirsty out there. The world is thirsty out there. These differences of opinion, this happened from time immemorial. It will happen till the end of time. And I always say this, is that the definition of the unification of this ummah is not consensus on one view. The definition of the unification of this ummah is not consensus on one view. Simply because if any person has the intention of unifying the ummah by bringing them onto consensus, I'm afraid by its very definition, it's a flawed definition. Sahaba were the most united, but they differed on so many issues. I always say you can sit, you can have differences of opinion, but as long as our hearts are united. And wallahi, these institutes, like we find here, these are forts that insulate our children and protect your iman. Generally we have this inferiority complex. I find this in many countries, that those students who are studying in Darul Uloom, they consider themselves to be inferior to those who are studying in the best of universities across the globe. Those who are studying in the best of universities, we consider ourselves inferior to them. This should not be the case. Wallahi, the honor that Allah has kept in this beautiful deen of Allah, you will not find this in any other way. Understand, to study the deen of Allah, it's a singular bounty from the side of Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. There's an amazing, if you open Tafsir ibn Kathir, there is a narration that is mentioned that يقول الله تعالى, and this is authentic narration, يقول الله تعالى للعلماء يوم القيامة إذا قعد على كرسي لقضاء عباده. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah will address the fraternity of scholars and ulama, and Allah will be sitting on his throne, and Allah will call them one side, and Allah will tell them, إني لم يجعل علمي وحكمتي فيكم إلا وأنا أريد أن أغفر لكم على ما كان منكم ولا أبالي. But listen, I favored you with the sciences of deen because I loved you. And because I loved you, I had already decided I was going to forgive you before you were born. Before you were born, I had already decided that I was going to forgive you. When Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu had passed away, there was one Sahabi by the name of Auf ibn Malik al-Ashja'i radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Bearing in mind this, so he sees a dream. Auf ibn Malik al-Ashja'i, he sees a vision and a dream. What does he see in this dream? He says, I am walking in this place and I see this beautiful scenery. Fasih al-Arja, a piece of ground, which is space, very vast, and it's very green, something that's appealing to the eye, striking to the heart. And he says, as I was walking, I had seen غنم رابضة لم تر العين مثلها قط. I had seen a flock of goats and sheep that were grazing in this garden. So he says, as I continued walking, I looked at this palace, and in the dead center of this palace, I had seen a qubba, a dome-like structure. And I asked the angels that were with me in my dream, that tell me, liman hadha, to who does this garden belong? And who does that palace belong to? So the angels told me that look on the palace. And I'd seen Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu standing on one of the balconies of this palace. And he looked at me and he said, Ya Malik, هذا ما أعطانا الله للقرآن. What you see around you, this is what Allah has given me in lieu of the service that I've rendered to Quran Kareem. This is what Allah has given me in lieu of the service that I've rendered to Quran Kareem. I always say, many of us, we take our Asatiza for granted. Some of them could have become the best of professionals. They could have become the best of doctors, the best of accountants, the best of advocates. But they have devoted their lives to serve this beautiful deen. So really, we need to take their du'as. We need to take the du'as. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to say, what is the Quran? وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ يَنَبِيعَ الْهُدَى زَهْرَةَ الْعِلْمِ. This Quran is a fountain of knowledge. It's a fountain of knowledge. بِهِ يَفْتَحُ اللَّهُ أَعْيُنًا عَمْيًا. It has that ability, it has that capacity of opening those eyes that are spiritually blind. It has the capacity of opening those ears that are spiritually deaf. And it has that ability of opening those hearts that are spiritually closed. So what we have, what Allah has endowed us with, do not frown upon this knowledge of deen, and consider those who are acquiring the sciences of this world, to consider them superior than this knowledge of Quran. So this is something which is so important. And we find that, we feel that, like I mentioned earlier on, is that we consider ourselves superior, to those who are studying in the best of universities across the globe. Wallahi, the honor that Allah will give you when you acquire this knowledge of deen. Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu,